our groups, we workshopped ideas about, just quickly, probably only 10-15 minutes worth of ideas about issues on farm and issues off farm, and then I collated them together into, well, 5 or 3 issues, depending on how many we grouped them together. And then we chose the 2 issues that I suppose resonated with our guys the most, and we've then gone through and workshopped those 2 issues for a hopefully like ideas for where we could go with them. So I'll just read you what are the sort of the 5 main topic areas we came up to, and then I'll throw to the marketing guys and the new farmers guys to share their stories about where they went at their tables. So the 5 things that we came up with were looking at ways to get practical assistance or knowledge for small farmers that were new into the area, that being the new into the area of farming, so a lot of the, and new to farming. The second one was looking at that whole issue of contractors, labour, machinery hire, even maybe cash resourcing, so that whole resourcing for small farms as an issue. Next one was limited marketing and how we can avoid, or how small farmers could avoid the corporation supermarket type models and compete with imports and things like that. Another one that came up was small farmers or landholdings needing to have access to increased land available to make the business maybe more viable. And then we also looked at, or thought that consumer education, so that educating people about buying local produce, and that was an important one. We ended up with 2 tables workshopping, one workshopping the marketing aspects of it, and another workshopping the aspects of that practical assistance or education for small landholders that have just come into the area. So I'm going to get the tables to share. So we'll start with marketing. One of you guys.
Yeah, so we had some good discussion about different issues relating to marketing. We've got some different interests on the table. So just to quickly run through them. People would like to be able to specialise in the field that they're most interested in, so producers wanting to do production and wanting other people to be able to assist them with the marketing side of what needs to be done. That therefore, a little bit of an efficiency saving for them, lets them concentrate on what they're doing and doing it the best way they can. So trying to, or the importance of developing relationships with clients and between clients and buyers. So how do you do that? How do you identify them? Where's the list of who does what and who wants what? And that sort of ties in a little bit with a seasonal growing list, so developing a list between Orange and Bathurst so that you can cross-supply between the 2 localities. Understanding what consumers are eating and wanting, so again that's just understanding the marketplace and how to make sure that you are supplying something that's going to be used and that you're not ending up stuck with. So that was an important consideration, especially when you're trying to do things efficiently and you generate more than what can be used in a certain situation. You need to be able to move it out beyond that. Building networks and linkages with other growers. So overcoming some of the problems that you experience as a small grower by getting together with other people who produce something similar. And consolidating your powers, I guess, to get a better outcome for all the people that are involved in that. Identify your supply base and match it up to market. So I think we've already covered that one in one of the points above. But yeah, knowing who you're supplying to, whether that be local or if you have to go beyond that, and just matching it up so that you're not supplying too much and flooding the market. And forming a co-op to market locally. So I think we discussed the limitations of what the Bathurst Co-op can do at the moment, given our small size and small membership base, but also realising that there's more people out there in the community that would benefit from buying locally, and that if they would do that, that would benefit local producers. So I guess that's a major challenge that we identified that we'd like to see solved.
So we were new farmer support and education, but we sort of realised quite at the beginning that we didn't just mean new or learner farmers, we also meant farmers who wanted to change practices as well. We acknowledge that education doesn't necessarily lead to uptake, so you can do lots of courses, but that doesn't mean that once you get back to your farm you actually know what you're doing, and that it's hard for farmers to commit to long-term training. And even if you offer short courses, they're often still theory, not practical based. So how do you get to actually learn on the farm how to do the things that you need to do? We also acknowledge that there are actually lots of resources and government support out there, but it's not really clear who does what. So you don't know what does DPI do, what does LLS do, what does DPI even stand for, and what does Landcare do? There's lots of acronyms which I was throwing around at my table because I'm so used to using them. So yeah, you're right, that language that we use needs to change. And the government support, it's there, but it's not targeted to small farmers. So how can government do a better job of targeting small farmers? Some of our solutions were farmer mentoring, so partnering up a new farmer with a more seasoned farmer. Youth engaging young people in farming, so getting young people onto the farm so that they're learning from a farmer, like fathers used to teach their sons, but setting up that sort of dynamic with young people interested in farming. This idea of incubator farming, I don't know if anyone's heard of that. It's a Melbourne idea where you actually, someone who's interested in becoming a farmer actually pays a small sum, learns to grow a crop in partnership with another farmer, and that crop gets sold through by that farm, but then you know how to grow that crop. So you actually learn, you get a chance to have a crack at being a farmer before you go out and buy your own land. We also talked about how we needed farming principles for the 21st century in a changing climate, and how do we find that all in one place. And there's something in the UK called a regen hub, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's about linking. You can go in there and search for something that you're interested in, and it'll help you find other local people who are also interested in that same thing. So we also thought that with the Farming Together funding, you could actually form a co-op around farmer education. That could be a clever way of paying for education, which is otherwise normally quite expensive, by getting thinking of clever ways to access funding. And then the last thing we talked about was the South Coast have a small farms network, which is brilliant because it just has a weekly email that just targets small farms and pitches all the sort of things that small farmers are interested in, and that may be something similar to that, or maybe that's something that a role the co-op could take is having that weekly email for small farmers. And that was us, unless I missed anything.